Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Tell Me About Your Jesus podcast. I'm Brian and I'm here with Shane, and we're just two ordinary people talking about our extraordinary God. We hope what you hear today helps you see how God moves in our lives. All right, guys, welcome back to this next episode of Tell Me About Your Jesus podcast. This one's going to be a little different. Brian couldn't be here with me today, so I'm here with a special guest, Chris.
Hey, y'all.
He is special.
I'm not.
Chris is my son. He's 23, and he is here for drill for the weekend.
Yeah, it's good to be home, I guess.
What?
I'm just kidding.
God.
It's always good to be home. I haven't been able to be here since, I guess, the podcast started.
Yeah.
I have not been home since then. I usually only come home for drill. And lucky enough, I get to live close enough to drill that I can come home and hang out with y'all. I don't have to be in the hotel room. But, yeah, I guess I'm excited. Let's get this thing going.
A little nervous.
For the second time.
If you don't know, I'm going to leave this in here because we're just being transparent.
Yeah.
Two things happened. We recorded this whole podcast, and then the batteries died at the end. And then it turns out I had the SD card in backwards. So we didn't record anything. Brian, we miss you. We love you. Come back soon. You need to be running this little thing, not me. So
It's all good. I felt like I was a little all over the place anyways. We'll start over.
That's fine. So
Take two.
a little bit about your story, how you came to be where you're at today.
Yeah, so I grew up in church for 10 years. It was just me and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
We went pretty much every weekend. I don't remember much of not going to church.
Yeah.
Unless like on vacation or...
Yeah, I mean, every now and then.
like
Nobody's
that.
going to be there all the time.
But growing up, we were in a small church that we went to one church, I think Brian's church now.
Oh, yeah,
we
Hunter
did go to
Street.
that for a little bit, Hunter Street. But I really only remember Celebration Church.
Okay.
When I started going, we were in an intermediate school, and we was set up, break down every Sunday in the cafeteria.
Oh, yeah.
Us youth, I think we were in the gym, maybe.
Yeah, I
Or
think
a
so.
classroom or something like that. I don't really remember that much of it. But then we moved to a movie theater, actually. You started coming to church there.
Yeah,
with
the movie
us.
theater was cool, except for the fact that the first showing was at like 11:15 and church was over at like 10:30 or 10:45.
Yeah.
So, it's like, hey, you can have a great service, everybody have a great day, and grab some stuff on your way out.
Yep. But that was I think it was a lot of experience at that church. That is where I got saved. That's where I got baptized. Miss Donna was the youth leader. She took good care of us kids, I guess. We were all real close.
Yeah. Y'all were it was a good group of y'all that seemed to be friends in and out of church,
And so, yeah, we were a good group. Pastor David was Miss Donna's husband.
Mm-hmm.
He was the pastor of the church, and I guess they kind of grew the church up from the beginning. That's how they started it. It was a lot of their family was in it, but also grew bigger than that, and still know some people from there. Still talk to some people from the church as well.
They're still there in Hoover.
But I got baptized or saved and baptized when I was about 10 or 11 years old.
Yeah.
And Miss Donna and Pastor David, my mom, always talked to me about what it means to actually love Jesus. Made sure that I actually love Jesus,
Right.
Had that conversation, like, what it means to love Jesus, what you're doing, and you're not just doing it because everyone else is doing it.
Right, yeah.
Not because it's the cool thing.
Yeah.
So we went to that church for 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to guess, I don't remember it that well, but year wise. But then we kind of, when you came around, and we I guess y'all got tired of
Yeah,
setting up and taking down all the time.
Yeah, your mom and I were on the set up and take down teams, and it's tough. Anybody that's doing that, my hat's off to you. I mean, that's tough to do all the time, every week.
And it was time to just find a different church.
Yeah.
Nothing against the people there, but
No, but well, then you had grown a little bit older, and so a lot of the children's stuff at that time at Celebration was kind of geared more towards children, and you were a young teenager, and
And so we went church hopping.
Yeah, pretty much
For probably 6 months to a year, church hopping, and then we landed at Church of the Highlands, River Chase campus, and really enjoyed it, really loved it. Really liked Pastor Chris, and the campus pastor there was Blake Lindsay at the time.
Yep. Pastor Blake.
And it was awesome going through the youth there as well as a teenager through Motion and just some of the small groups they had, city groups and stuff like that for kids.
And you spent time helping out with the Haven.
Yeah, spent time on the Dream Team helping out with Highlands Haven, which was the special needs kids at the 9:30 service. I was there. And it was really enjoyable. I really liked helping the kids and
that's good.
Really thought I could let my light shine in that area.
That's good. And then tell us a little more about kind of how it happened or how your life was once you got into high school. Yep. And then kind of into college.
So through high school, it was pretty much the same until senior year. COVID started hitting. I was that class of 2020.
Yep.
COVID hit but I played football and wrestling, and I was all about sports and college. What am I going to do in college? And kind of slipped off a little bit, especially
hanging out with friends and.
I felt. I guess I was putting God second. I wasn't putting God first, especially in college. First few semesters there, joined a fraternity, which there's nothing against joining a fraternity. I think if you find the right people, I'll get into more of that in a little bit. But being in college, I started drinking and.
I don't know if y'all can hear that, but that is our dog drinking water very loudly.
Speaking of drinking, but no, drinking and not putting God first.
Right.
Caring more about who I was around and friends and what friends was I making and was I cool enough to make friends and but
kind of figuring out who you were.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I probably could have done it better.
Yeah.
With putting God first, but I never really let my morals slip. I still had my values and my morals. I joined the fraternity, but I picked the fraternity based off of the guys in the fraternity. There were a lot of Christians in the fraternity. They were open about being a Christian fraternity. That's what we talk about a lot with our new members and stuff like that. Is we are Christian valued fraternity. Okay. We're not just a fraternity. It's not just a place to come and drink, not just a place to come and party, but we care about brotherhood. We care about Christianity. And so that's kind of why I chose that one. But of course, it has what your fraternities have is parties and drinking and tailgates and stuff like that. But I did meet my 2 roommates now through that.
Who will eventually be guests on the show.
All right.
But yes, you met Brady and Warren.
Yeah. I met them freshman year. That's kind of why I chose that fraternity too, because they were my next door neighbors.
Oh, okay.
Freshman year. So I was good friends with a lot of them. Right before I left, I joined the National Guard my sophomore year.
Okay.
And I left to go to basic training on my spring semester sophomore year. So I was there until in AIT, which is my job, basically a job training for the national or for the Army.
Yeah, your MOS.
Yeah, MOS training.
Yeah,
if you will, in that standpoint. But I was there until September, so February to September. doing training. And I came back home and waited till the next semester started in the fall or in the spring. And I started there back in the fraternity. I was living in a room by myself. I got lucky enough I didn't have a roommate. It's no random roommate going back to school.
No creeper.
In the spring. But, I felt I still felt like something was missing. I was in the National Guard and I felt like I was doing something, for the country.
Yeah.
In a way, once a month.
Well, I'm still there.
But I felt like I had that, and I was in school, and still had my friends that were still there from when I left, and but something was missing. Going through that semester and getting closer to the summer, me and Brady and Warren started talking more about Bible studies, and Brady and I believe his girlfriend were finding a church. They were in a church now, and that's one thing I didn't find when I was in college immediately when I got there.
Yeah,
probably like I should have.
Yeah.
But going into the summer, I was starting to find a church. Started looking for a church.
Mm-hmm.
Then come the next fall semester, we were all living in the house on the same hallway. But we started doing a Bible study, us three, and it was just us. We kind of just randomly, we didn't have a set night for it. It'd just be like, hey, do y'all want to talk about something tonight?
Y'all like have a certain chapter y'all going through, or just whatever was on somebody's heart?
No, we were just kind of, I think at one point, our biggest one was we read Ecclesiastes together.
Okay.
Which is really rough when you the first few chapters in Ecclesiastes is everything sucks. There's nothing good.
I'm pretty sure that's paraphrased. I don't think it's in the Bible.
That's not exactly word for word, but that's basically what he's saying there, is that everything sucks, and that he didn't say no to anything. He didn't let his body say no to anything. Nothing. No to drunkenness. No to foolishness. No to any of that. And so that's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
He's saying that nothing in this world can bring you gratitude.
Right.
There's nothing other than God that can bring you happiness.
And it reminds me of something that Pastor Chris said in one of his sermons about we try to, fill ourselves with all these worldly things, but what you're trying to fill is a God-sized hole in your heart that only God fits and only God will fill. And that's in every person. Whether you're a Christian, a believer, a disciple, an atheist, you still got it.
Yep.
You just may not realize it.
Yeah, that reminds me of something I heard the other day about. Sorry, this is a little off topic.
No, go ahead.
Kind of on topic, but he's like, I guess this guy was telling me the story, and he's like, yeah, it's like you're standing you're standing next to a fence. God's on one side saying, come over here and live for me and make it to heaven. And Satan's on the other side saying, come over here, I'll give you everything in the world. And he's struggling because he doesn't know which side of the fence to go on, so he just jumps on the fence.
Yep.
And he goes, haha, I have both sides now. I'm on top of the fence. And at that time, Satan grabs him, drags him into a dark hole. He goes, I don't get it. I was on top of the fence. And Satan goes, well, I own the fence.
Yeah.
You can't be on both sides. I own the fence.
Yep.
And that just kind of like, as he says in Ecclesiastes, that there's nothing good in the world other than God.
Yep. And we are called to put his word out there and try to bring as many folks to him as possible.
Mm-hmm. So that was, but yeah, going back into, we were reading through that, and I think close to the end of the semester, we were talking to one of our other buddies, Jaron, and he was he's trying to get us to come to what's called New Year's Conference. It's with Campus Outreach, or a Christian organization on a lot of college campuses. Mm-hmm. And it's a big group. And a lot of kids in Campus Outreach are affiliated with Campus Outreach.
Okay.
And
college age kids.
Yes. It's on college campuses.
Okay.
Trying to reach Campus Outreach, trying to reach kids on campus, college age kids. But he got us to all agree and sign up to go to New Year's Conference.
Okay.
where we heard, which was 4 days of just worship, and there were speakers and breakout groups, and you could break out and go to groups that you wanted to go to about certain topics. They would have a list of topics for that hour, and you could go to the one that you wanted to, that you most wanted to hear about. I heard David Platt speak probably 4 or 5 times while I was there. He was the main speaker, but he was really good, and his whole thing was about Great Commission and going out to in making disciples of all nations, and it just really struck me and got to me, make me feel convicted about, I wasn't living the right way, because I felt like the way I was living, I couldn't go out and do that.
Right.
I couldn't go out and make disciples because I wasn't living right.
Right. It's hard to go out and tell somebody to live one way when you're living a different way.
Exactly. And that was kind of, I guess, the turning point. I was already on the edge of turning, but that turning point going into that next semester, we got with our president of our fraternity at the time. They started a chaplain position in our fraternity. And Brady ran that as the chaplain. He would run a Bible study every month or every week.
That's cool.
And we would pick a book and go through that. I think we started with Ecclesiastes. I think that was our big thing, is we wanted to start there.
Yeah, it kind of puts it in perspective.
We had already read it, and it felt like it was really good to read to people. But I think that's where we started. But now we're off to like doing the Gospels and stuff like that. Now it's been a year and a half doing that Bible study. I think we've grown to. We have 15 people collectively in the fraternity that are active in it, the Bible study.
Is it just the fraternity members that do it?
For ours, it is.
Okay.
It's just our Bible study.
Okay.
That we do once a week. I go to other people still. We try to get people to go to campus outreach throughout the week. I can't make campus outreach for Greek. Greek campus outreach nights are on Monday nights, and I have class Monday nights. So I can't really make that.
As your father, go to class.
Yeah. And then me and Brady try to invite people to Wednesday night with us. We do a men's group. Since he's my roommate.
That's through your church?
Yes, that's at my church at Cottage Hill.
Okay.
And we have a really good group of guys. We were going to the college night on Wednesday nights for a while.
Okay.
We stopped going to college night because it starts at 8:30 and doesn't end till like 9:30 or 10. And we're really tired.
So y'all became old men very quickly. Yes. Like, wow, I'm tired.
Yes. So we go to the one that starts at 6:30, the men's group, which honestly I feel like is a little bit better.
Yeah.
Not that the college night is bad.
Right,
no, it's really good. The college pastor is awesome. Had learned a lot from him.
Do y'all meet early at like the Cracker Barrel and get the Blue Plate special and then go to the 6 o'clock service?
No, but we did meet one time to eat at the restaurant across the street from the church at like 4:45, 5 o'clock. Because we didn't want to eat afterwards. But we go there at 6:30, and it's a good group of guys. It's a bunch of men doing a thing called Better Man. It's a company that does it. There's 2 guys that run the company Better Man, and they do videos and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we're going off those videos. But the group of guys we've got involved with, we have to sit at a table. There's probably 6 of us. We have a group chat now, and one guy sends a Bible study or like a verse in there every day and like a description of it for like a Bible study every morning, basically.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it's gotten, after that turn point over that New Year's conference, getting to this point was just an awesome feeling, being able to, be involved in so much and actually want to be involved in so much. And back to how I felt like when I was a kid, being wanting to be involved, wanting to read my Bible, wanting to learn more. And just digest everything I can. Go into the men's group. I'm hearing so many different stories, different people raised in different ways.
Right.
And just some of
at different levels of spiritual maturity.
And when they found God and when they found Jesus, kind of like what you do here. You're wanting to get more people's stories. You can digest like, wow, what has God done in these people's lives? What has He done in my life? Similar and different. It's knowing that God can do all things. It's just another way of showing you that God can do all things.
Yeah, I mean, the whole hope here is that, somebody out there will hear this that's thinking God can't use me because I've sinned so much or sinned so badly. Maybe you'll hear somebody that's got even a worse story that God is now using. I mean, what is it? Moses was a murderer,
Yes.
and look how He used him. I mean,
yeah. People think I'm just too far gone. There's nothing that I can do. But, hearing other people's stories and hearing just continuously going to church. And I like the phrase, give church a try.
Yeah.
Give God a try. What can it hurt you? Put everything into God for 3 months.
Yep.
4 months. A year. And see how different your life is.
Now, I will say, since you fully went back into, I'm a disciple, I'm a follower, I'm going to reach more people. Did your life suddenly become all easy and great and everything was cake and now you've got a bunch of money and everything's great?
No. Okay. Still in college.
Still
have, still have the college struggles.
Yeah.
Every now and then, but I think I have a good group of guys around me
a good support system.
Hold me accountable as they want me to hold them accountable as well when things are going wrong. I would love to get some of them on, here to tell their story. I think some of them have some good stories, even some of the men in the men's group.
Yeah.
I'm not just the fraternity kids.
They don't even know. I'm just coming that way. I'm just going to pop up and be like, hey, y'all, what's happening?
But I think there's no one has something that's too insignificant. I think even, again, as someone who grew up in church their entire life, you can fall.
Oh, yeah.
You can't, I don't think you can lose salvation, but I think you can fall. But, but it's, God will always bring you back if you truly love Him and truly believe in Him.
And repent.
Yeah, it's...
and a lot of people think repent is just saying sorry. But repent, you have to turn away from, like, okay, I recognize this is bad behavior. I'm sorry, and I'm going to repent,
and I'm going to try and fix it.
Yes, I'm going to try to not do that again.
And it's not, I'm going to do everything in my power to fix it.
Yep.
I want you, God, to lead me.
Yep, to change me.
To change me and lead me through how to get this fixed.
Yep.
Studies recently have shown that if you read the Bible one time a week, there's no significant change. There's no big, large change in how you feel throughout the week. You read the Bible 2 to 3 times a week, you're at like over 100% more likely to feel happier. And then when you get up into the like 4 and 5 times a week, it's like you can see a drastic change in your life. You don't want to look at things that you're not supposed to look at. You don't want to do things that you're not supposed to do.
That's a lot of, I see a lot, and I've heard it said a lot of ways, and I'm probably not going to say it correctly, but it's like, people say, well, I don't, necessarily have to go to church to know God. You don't. And they say, well, I don't have to read the Bible to know God. Well, you don't. But once you know God, I think He puts that pull and that calling on, hey, read my word. I hear people say all the time, there's no instruction manual to life. Yeah, it's called the Bible. It'll tell you what to do and how to be there. And as far as church, if you're truly in the Word of God and trying to follow Him, you want to be around like-minded folks. You don't want to, that doesn't mean you never hang out with sinners, because we're called to go get those sinners and bring them back. But
yeah, I've heard though one thing, I think it was David Platt said at the New Year's conference that I went to, the first one. I did go to the second New Year's conference this past year as well. Yeah. But he said that if everyone around you in your circle is a Christian, then your circle's too small.
Yep.
You're not reaching anybody.
Yeah.
And you're not doing what you're called to do. If every single person around you is a Christian, then your circle's too small. Yep. Jesus came here for sinners.
Yeah.
He did not come here for the righteous.
Absolutely.
He came here to make sinners righteous.
Yep.
You know, and that's a big thing that I guess people don't understand sometimes. It's like, oh, I'm a good Christian, and I go to church every week, and all my friends go to church every week,
and that doesn't make you like
that doesn't make
a
you
bad
a bad person. No.
Yeah, you're still you may still be a good Christian, but you're not doing what Jesus asked you to do, which is get his word out, get his stories out, and let more people find him. Mm-hmm. You know,
I just think, you know, and I still struggle with that part a little bit. As I said before, and I can't remember if I said it this time recording, but this semester I hadn't been able to go to every Bible study with my fraternity.
Yeah.
You know, but we're doing Luke.
Okay.
Right. Oh, sorry, John.
Sorry,
we're doing John right now. But going back, I've missed like probably every other week, just busyness and making excuses. I shouldn't be making excuses, but I get out of class at 6. It starts at 6:15.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes if class does run over, or I'm just so hungry, and you know, I make the excuse, and I shouldn't be. Yeah, and I think because sometimes I'll think I'm going on Wednesday night. I went on Sunday. I'm going this night. And
I'm at church every Sunday, and
but every time I do go, it's just awesome to see the new faces in the Bible study.
Yeah,
the people that have been there the whole time. You know, the people that have been there sporadically, like here and there, and now and then. Like I think we have 60 guys in the fraternity.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But we have, you know, even if we were able to only reach 2 people, you know, that's just, you know, changing.
And it's encouraging for the younger people that come in, like the new recruits or the new, I don't know what y'all call them after their pledges, but after all that, when they're new, they may be intimidated. They may be a Christian, and they may be that person, but they're kind of nervous about being that person in that setting. Mm-hmm. So y'all really are an example to them that, hey, it's okay to share your faith and talk about God and talk about Jesus, and that's awesome.
I think that's the whole point. I mean, especially in college, your circle can't be too small.
Yeah.
You know, that anywhere you look, I feel like even if you go to a private Christian college, you know, there's probably people, you know, anywhere you can reach.
Oh, absolutely.
I think being in the fraternity at this point and seeing the change that's happening and seeing just some of the people just change from, I'm a Christian when they come in, is what they say. But actually being able to talk about it is something awesome to see. Actually people wanting to learn more. There's, you know, we all have our faults, but we all try to hold each other accountable. We do an accountability after every Bible study, and that's something that is hard for some people.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Saying, what did I struggle with this week? Saying it out loud.
Yeah, to your...
For people, to your friends.
Yeah, people that are going to see you every day.
Yeah.
You know.
What did I struggle with this week, and what can I ask y'all to pray for me for? Mm-hmm. You know, that can be hard for a lot of people. I know it was hard for me the first few times, you know, saying out loud, because you want to keep it inside, but...
Yeah, you're kind of ashamed. You know, you feel a little bit of shame about it. But that's God calling you, going, "Hey, that ain't right."
That's and but there's also, you find out that everyone's struggling with something that's similar, or at least struggling with something. You know, we're not perfect, like we said multiple times, but a lot what we did at that New Year's conference that I went to, I forgot to mention this. Well, they broke us up, men versus women. Had David Platt talk to just the men.
Okay.
And he had us take a sheet of paper, and we didn't write our names on it at all. And it had on there different things we struggled with. And you had to mark off everything you struggled with.
Okay.
Whether it be pride, pornography, money, anger, you know, everything you could possibly struggle with, addiction.
Yeah.
And then you turned in the papers. They got all mixed up and passed back out.
Okay.
So you didn't know whose you had.
Right. No names.
No names on it. It's all anonymous. And what he did was, if you have anger marked off on your thing, stand up right now. And you'd see 80% of the room stand up.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
You know,
Yeah, that's
you're seeing
I
that
can just
there's
imagine.
80% of the people in here are struggling with anger.
Yeah.
All right, sit back down. If you struggle with pornography, stand up. 75-80% of the room stands up. If it's written on the thing, not if you struggle,
right.
not if you struggle, but
Yeah,
if it's written,
if
it could
the
be something
paper
you
you
didn't
have.
even struggle with.
Well, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
you know what you mark.
Yeah,
but
but
you've got,
like,
yeah.
But you know, it could be something you don't even struggle with on the paper,
Right.
and you would stand up because that's what was on your paper,
Right.
right? And just to see that every single person, one struggles with something,
Yep.
but then to see that like 80% to 90% of people struggle with the exact same thing that you struggle with.
I was going to say, I bet there was not one thing that he called out that only one person
No.
stood up, you know.
No. There was, and then he, so seeing that is just an eye opener. I think that helped with the turning point of, I don't just struggle with my own things.
Right.
Other people struggle with the same things, especially other men. Mm-hmm. Only God can fix it. Only God can help. But having those men around you, having just a good group of people, accountability group of people around you, really helped with that turning point and kind of got me to where I am here. I know I kind of got off on that, but
no, that's fine, man. Hey, if you hadn't noticed, this show is not very well put together, scripted. We're just kind of here, and again, talking about Jesus.
I just feel like I'm not good at sharing, you know.
Hey,
I kind of feel like I'm all over the place, but
you're fine, man. No scripts here.
Yeah.
No scripts.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's where I am today, is wanting to learn more always, even when I have a week where I struggle when I didn't, read my Bible, and I do fall short of, we fall short of
God's expectations.
Every day.
Yeah. Do you notice that those weeks that maybe you had a crappy week, maybe those were kind of some of the weeks you didn't get to read a lot of the Bible?
Yeah.
It's kind of like
where I didn't. There's the weeks where you feel the most tempted.
Yes, yeah.
I feel like, or not the most tempted, but feel like you fall for the temptation the most.
Yeah.
I would say probably are the weeks where I only read the Bible once or twice.
Yep.
During the week, or maybe not even at all, because I said I was too tired or didn't want to wake up, or But then the weeks where I read it every day, I might feel more tempted, but I have the ability to fight it. I have God's word. I have my sword. There to fight, the temptation. And that's where I am today.
That's awesome.
Just feeling more like I did as a child.
And I'll go ahead and say, and I said it before when I was telling my story, that my salvation and where I'm at in this journey is because of you. When I met your mom and I got to know you, how on fire you were for God, and went every day, every Sunday, and you just loved it. And I was just like, wow, I'm really, really missing out on something. And so, I owe that to you. So
you owe that to God.
Well, I owe the example, and because I didn't know what I was missing. I didn't know. I mean, I didn't grow up in church, and so I just didn't know. And so, it took me a minute to figure out, wow, well, I don't know what he's got, but man, he likes it a lot. And then it's as I got to know you and your mom, and we eventually got married and all. It's been awesome. It's an incredible journey, and I'm a really slow learner because I'm hard headed and stupid, and I put it off for a long time, and I really drug my feet. But here I am 13 years later, and I'm on a podcast that I'm hosting talking about Jesus. I want everybody to hear these stories of Jesus. I want everybody to know, hey, Jesus has got you, man. He is where it's at, and he will take care of you. And another thing, like you were talking about earlier, when you found the good group of guys, I was also reminded of Pastor Chris's, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. It's important who you're around and who you spend your time with. Again, you don't want to be surrounded by all Christians all the time.
What you intake is what you output.
Exactly.
It comes to the music you listen to, the shows you watch, whatever you put into your body is going to be what comes out.
Yep.
So the same with the friends you hang out with.
Yep.
What are they saying?
And what are they talking about and playing on the radio? And as an old guy, I'll tell you, the television, what's allowed on television now versus when I was a kid, holy cow, it's so different. As I've gotten older, I've listened to some of the older music, and I'm like, wow, that was not appropriate either. But I had some pretty strange music back in the day.
Yeah, I think, the devil is here on earth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he is trying to ruin God's people.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but we are seeing, or at least I'm seeing, I guess, a small revival, or just seeing more people interested.
Yeah.
Trying to get to. I'm really bad at inviting people to church. That's one of my struggles and something I try to do. I want to try and do more is invite people, but I see more people interested.
Yeah.
Because I think they're going to say no, and I don't want them to, and I know I'm not supposed to think that way. And
it's the flesh side,
but then seeing other people invite people and they say yes off the bat, and I'm like, I never would have thought.
Well, you got to lure them with lunch.
I forgot. Yeah.
Like, hey, come to church and I'll buy you lunch afterwards,
I'll buy you lunch.
Yeah, especially college kids. They're free meal, you got them, dude.
Buy you lunch. But that's, probably my biggest struggle. Probably not what you wanted to talk about on here is people's struggle.
Hey, did you not hear my first story?
Yeah.
I mean, people struggle in this world. I mean.
But that's my goal this next few weeks, months is to invite more people.
And I expect when I come down to Mobile in a month or so to have a bunch of interviews lined up by you, so I can get a lot of stories.
You just have to give me a heads up. I'll have to talk to people.
Talk to them, heck.
It'll take a lot of convincing.
Especially those two that live at your house.
Yeah.
They just don't even know it. They're going to be on this show.
Yeah. It's just hard to convince some people.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I think you can attest to, I'm not on here beating anybody over the head with the Bible. And,
I'll tell them to go listen and be like, see, I was not good with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not good with it. I mean, Brian is the closest thing to a theologian we have. And when he hears this, he's going to be like, I just make good at speaking.
I just make good at speaking. Some people are scared. I'm also terrified behind the mic. But
you've done great. So I think we're going to wrap it up here now, guys. We've had a pretty good talk, and I know this guy. He's my son, so I can bring him back if y'all want to hear some more of his stories. Get kind of a perspective from a younger man. And what's kind of going on in the college scene and that age. And
if it takes me being on to help some other people, some of my friends get on and I'll try.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get Hallie on here too. You know, she does not seem like she would be excited about it. But
Mom, get on here at some point.
We're trying to get your mother on here. She's a little nervous about it. But all right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. I just want to thank you for joining us again on this episode, and just know that we love you. We're praying for you, and just share this with everybody. You can find us on all the social medias. Tell Me About Your Jesus podcast. We're on YouTube. We're on all the streaming services. Just look us up, share us around, and please go to the website, tellmeaboutyourjesus.com. There's a place there to share your story. If you have a good story, you can leave questions, comments, whatever. You can leave your name out. You can leave it anonymous, whatever you need to do. We will respect your privacy if that's what you want. But we would just love to hear your story.
You're going to start reading someone here at some point, maybe?
Maybe. Or that lets us know who they are, and then we can maybe get them on the show if they're local. Or, we have some listeners from, like, Austria. I'm not coming to see you. So.
I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Even if it is anonymous,
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially the anonymous ones.
Yeah, I mean, we'll read them out. Y'all just got to type them up, send them in. So, all right, guys. Y'all have a great day. Thank you again for joining us for this episode of the Tell Me About Your Jesus podcast. We hope you've been reminded of God's faithfulness. He loves you, has a plan for your life, and is always working around you. We invite you to visit us on our website, tellmeaboutyourjesus.com, and share your story with us. You can also reach us by emailing hosts@tellmeaboutyourjesus.com, or you can interact with us on our social media channels. We'll see you next time.